IELTS learners, welcome to another vocabulary lesson. In this lesson, we're going to talk about the topic advertisement to children. Look at all these IELTS academic writing task 2 questions. In this lesson, I'll teach you 12 advanced words that you can use for this topic so that when you're brainstorming, your range of vocabulary doesn't fall short. So make sure to watch this video all the way through. Here's a snapshot of all the words that we're going to learn today. Consumer, vulnerable, distinguish, purchasing power, influence, pester, sneaky, cross-promote, ethical, regulation, exploit, inexperience. Now let's go to part 1, listening. Listen carefully and try to catch all these 12 words.
Do you skip ads or get up to do an errand when a commercial comes on? The average child under 5 does not. Young children cannot distinguish between advertising and entertainment. Older children and teens recognize the difference, but they don't consider the negative effects of ads. It's no wonder that children and teens are the prime targets for so many marketing campaigns. Young kids may not have much of their own spending money, but they do have a lot of purchasing power. Kids greatly influence their parents' purchasing decisions about groceries, restaurants, vacations, and toys. Most parents don't realize that their kids are pestering them to buy certain products or services due to ads that have directly targeted their kids. Large corporations find sneaky ways to market to young audiences. Hiring child psychologists is one way. These specialists have taught marketers that 3 to 7-year-olds love to play make-believe and 7 to 12-year-olds like to collect things. Businesses also work together to cross-promote their products. For example, movie characters help sell cereal and running shoes, and merchandise helps sell movie tickets. Ka-ching! Parents aren't the only victims of kidvertising. Many health experts blame marketers for the rising costs of childhood obesity. Food marketing accounts for approximately half of the advertisements North American kids are exposed to each day. These ads feature everything from candy bars and soda pops to sugar cereals and fast food restaurants. Is advertising to children ethical? In some countries, there are strict regulations on marketing to kids. In Sweden and Norway, advertising to children on TV is illegal. In Quebec, Canada, advertising to kids in any way is against the law. The Advertising Standards Authority in the UK can ban an ad if it exploits a child's inexperience or encourages children to pester parents to make a purchase. In addition, product placement is not allowed in children's programming. Other countries rely on self-regulation. While regulations are tightening in many countries and industries, wise marketers know how to bend the rules. For example, it's no secret that kids see plenty of ads on programs that are not intended for child audiences, for example, reality shows. There are also few regulations in digital advertising. In fact, using sponsored internet ads that match kids' search terms may be the sneakiest and most profitable way to market to kids. Why would Johnny skip or close an ad if it's the most entertaining part of his online experience?
Part 2, my favorite part, learning definitions. I can't stress enough how important and imperative it is to learn words with their definitions and not just a simple synonym. Of course, synonyms are important, but when you learn a word with its definition, you actually understand that word. Even if you forget that specific word, you can still use its definition to explain. So let's take a deeper dive. Number 1, consumer. Consumer. A person who buys something. It could be a product or a service. A person who buys something. Number 2, vulnerable. 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 At risk of physical or emotional harm due to age or inexperience. At risk of physical or mental harm due to age or inexperience. Now, let's see these two words in one example. Kids are vulnerable consumers because they don't always know or notice the difference between advertising and entertainment. Kids are vulnerable consumers because they don't always know or notice the difference between advertising and entertainment. The word consumer is easy to understand. Now, if I want to explain more about vulnerable, with this sentence I can say kids are vulnerable consumers. I can say kids are at a higher risk of physical or mental harm when it comes to advertisement or advertising. Did you get it? Kids are at a higher risk of physical and mental harm when it comes to advertising or advertisement. They're at a higher risk. This is exactly what I want you to do. Try to learn a word and then try to expand it using its definition. Number 3, distinguish. Distinguish. To find differences between things. To find differences between things. Now, can you tell me a synonym for distinguish? Comment below. For example, young children cannot distinguish between advertising and entertainment. Young children cannot distinguish between advertising and entertainment. They can't tell the differences. They can't find the differences between advertising and entertainment. Number 4, purchasing power. Purchasing power, the authority to make buying decisions. The authority to make buying decisions. For example, young kids may not have much of their own spending money, but they do have a lot of purchasing power. But they do have a lot of purchasing power. A lot of purchasing power. They have a lot of authority to make buying decisions. Easy peasy, right? Now, one grammar point about this sentence. They do have a lot of purchasing power. They do have. Because I want to put more emphasis on the purchasing power that the kids have, I've used the auxiliary verb before the main verb. They do have a lot of purchasing power. They do have a lot of purchasing power. Number 5, influence. Influence. To convince someone to behave or to speak in a certain way. To convince someone to behave or to speak in a certain way. For example, kids greatly influence their parents' purchasing decisions about groceries, restaurants, vacations, and toys. Kids greatly influence their parents. There is a synonym for the word influence, which has 6 letters. Can you guess what that word is? Comment below. Number 6, pester. Pester. Pester means to bother someone with repetitive behavior. To bother someone with repetitive behavior. For example, most parents don't realize that their kids are pestering them to buy certain products or services due to ads that have directly targeted their kids. Most parents do not realize that their kids are pestering them to buy, are forcing them, or are bothering them with their repetitive behavior to buy. Again, pay close attention. Pester someone to do something. Guys, this is exactly what I want you to do. When you learn a word, learn it in the context. That way, you know how that word is actually used. Pester someone to do something. Pester their parents to buy them toys, for example. Number 7, sneaky. Sneaky means sly or secretive. Sly or secretive, what great words. Sneaky, sly, secretive. For example, large corporations find sneaky ways to market to young audiences. Large corporations find sneaky ways to market to young audiences. Sly ways, secretive ways, tricky ways. Number 8, cross-promote. Cross-promote. Cross-promote means to market one product while advertising another product. To market one product while advertising another product. For example, businesses also work together to cross-promote their products. For example, movie characters help sell cereal and running shoes, and merchandise helps sell movie tickets. Ka-ching! Now let's elaborate a little bit more on this sentence so that you can fully understand it. For example, imagine that the movie Superman came out a few weeks ago and your son loves Superman. He's watching a TV ad about a toy product, and guess what? Superman is in that ad promoting or marketing that product. Your son loves Superman, okay? Now Superman is using that product. So he'll be like, Mom, I really want this toy because Superman has it. So he will convince you to buy that toy for him. And because the movie is out, he then will convince you to take him to the movie. It's a win-win. So he convinced you to not only buy the ticket to the movie, but also to buy that product for him. Do you get it? This is called cross-promote. Cross-promote. Number 9, ethical. Ethical. Morally acceptable. Morally acceptable. For example, is advertising to children ethical? Is advertising to children morally acceptable? Ethical. Number 10, regulation. Regulation. Regulation means rule or law. So regulation, rule, law. For example, in some countries, there are strict regulations on marketing to kids. In Sweden and Norway, advertising to children on TV is illegal. So, in some countries, there are strict regulations on marketing to kids. Strict regulations. Strict regulations. This is a collocation. So, an adjective that you can use for the word regulation is strict. And pay attention, regulation is a noun and it's a countable noun. So regulation, regulations, strict regulations. The last two words are exploit and inexperience. Both are very important. Exploit and inexperience. Exploit means to gain money, to gain fame, to gain status at the expense of a vulnerable person. Kind of like using, deceiving a vulnerable person to gain money. And inexperience means the lack of skill or understanding in a field or in an area. The lack of skill, the lack of understanding. For example, the Advertising Standards Authority in the UK can ban an ad if it exploits a child's inexperience or encourages children to piss their parents to make a purchase. Now, let's have a look at the questions. Number 1, what ads do you remember most from your childhood? Number 2, what types of products or services did you pester your parents to purchase when you were a child? Number 3, in your opinion, whose job is it to regulate advertising? The federal government, local government, industry, parent, or other. Number 4. Many people agree that marketing to children is wrong. What about using children in advertising? Should kids be used to sell car insurance? Number 5. Children see thousands of ads every year. Are there any ways that marketing has a positive effect on kids? Last but not least, I'm going to show you a few IELTS academic writing task 2 questions so that you can use them as a reference for your writing practices. Advertisements are now targeting children. What will be the problems and what can be done? Nowadays, a large amount of advertising aimed at children should be banned because of the negative effects. To what extent do you agree or disagree? There are now more advertisements aimed at children. Some people believe that they have negative effects on children and should be banned. Do you agree or disagree? Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up if you found it useful. Share it with your friends, and if you have any questions, comment below. And make sure you're subscribed to our channel. Till another lesson, love you guys so much. Take care, see you soon, and bye-bye.